Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to remote learning, boys and girls. This is our third week, and we are going to start with the first lesson of week 3. This is grade 6 social studies. We are going to start with a chapter from our history section. This is chapter number 16 and page number is 75. I hope you could see this number. Page number is 75 while chapter number is 16 and the topic is the road to independence. Students, before I start with chapter, keep your copies, books and stationery items so that you may do the written work once we complete the discussion. So let me start. Before this chapter, in our previous lesson of history, we talked about the independence movement. We talked about how the freedom movement was started and then how did it continue further. We talked about the role of Muslim leaders like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and how he tried to establish the good terms between the local people and the Britishers, how he tried to bring them closer and how many effort that he did in order to educate the Muslims of India especially. We talked about the role of the leaders like Nawab Mohsin Malik, Quaid-e-Azam, Allama Muhammad Iqbal, Maulana Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali Johar. We discussed how the Muslim League was needed to be formed as a separate political platform for the Muslim of India, and we discussed what were the reasons by which the Indian National Congress was unable to serve as a political party for the Muslims of India, and that's how the Muslim League was established within the India. So again the movement continued during these movement different important events also took place in the history of the world. For example, World War I, which took place starting from 1914 to 18, and Second World War was also fought during this time before independence. So the First World War took place from 1914 to 18. The Indian troops played a large part in the fighting, especially in Mesopotamia, which is present-day Iraq, where the Muslim soldiers were fighting against the fellow Muslim Turks. So this fight was against the Muslim rule at that time, which was very strong, that was the Ottoman Empire. The Indian soldiers, including the Muslims, suffered terrible casualties and very brutal treatment of the hands of the Turk army. To reward them, the British Prime Minister Lloyd George promised India full self-government after the war, but he did not say when. So since the Muslims were fighting, and not only the Muslims, the other nations like the Hindus and the people of subcontinents, they were the participant of the fight, so they were getting injuries and there were casualties as well. In order to compensate that, the Britishers, especially their prime ministers, they promised the freedom to India, but this was not yet done. Mr. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, now the leading Muslim figure and already a member of Indian Legislative Council, joined the Muslim League in 1913. Afterwards, he was disturbed by the behavior and attitudes of the Hindus and other leaders within the Congress. In 1930, he joined the Muslim League. He became its president 3 years later in 1916. He was a strong supporter of United Subcontinent and tried to get the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League to work together towards this end. So initially he was a member of Indian National Congress, but he left him them because they were working for their own cause. They were not working for the freedom of Muslims or for the rights of Muslims. So that's how Muhammad Ali Jinnah joined Muslim League and became the president of it after 3 years. Now he started to fight for the freedom of a united subcontinent from the British rule. Now, at Lucknow in 1916, he reached an agreement within the Congress to cooperate with the separate electorates for Muslims and Hindus in the future governments of United India. Up till now, there was no concept of a separate Muslim state or Indian state, but up till this time, Muslims and Indians and Hindus, they were trying to free the United India from the British rule. At this time, Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, he was the dominant Indian he was there to dominate the Indian politics until the partition came to lead the Hindus. So Mr. Gandhi appeared in the scene of politics during this time, and he was a dominant personality in the history of India before freedom even. So let's start with the next page. Here comes the Montego-Chelmsford reforms. Now, what were these reforms? The reforms of 1921, as they were known, were the third major steps towards the independence. They were proposed and they have the following measures. Now, this was a step taken by Britishers. They gave certain reforms to the Indians. And what were these? Number one, the Central Assembly was set up for India with 144 members, of whom 103 were to be elected by the people. Secondly, the Assembly could make the laws, but the Viceroy could, under certain circumstances, veto or forbid them. So these were reforms in order to give some sort of independence to the United India, but still it was under the control of Viceroy, and he could be able to veto certain decisions. All the provinces would have the mainly elective assemblies to run health, local government, agriculture, education and transport. Defense, foreign affairs, police and budget were still under the responsibility of Viceroy and his council. Again, they were having authority with them still. There were to be 2 or 3 Indian members in the Viceroy close inner cabinet. Congress rejected this, and the future battle lines seems to be drawn up. The moderate Hindus leaders, Gokhale, who wanted to work with the Muslim, had died earlier. The extremist Tilak, who demanded total Hindu supremacy, was the next leader. Now, some leaders among the Hindus, they were extremist. For example, Mr. Gandhi and Gokhale, but some were moderate, and but after their death, it was impossible to work with the Hindus for the further plannings of freedom. On the Congress side were Gandhi, Nehru and Tilak, and on the Muslim side Muhammad Ali Jinnah and Sir Muhammad Iqbal. Mr. Jinnah still hoped for the two sides to work together and pleaded at the conference in 1929 for them to unite, but the Congress rejected this, wanting complete power for Hindus. So again, since they were very selfish people, they were trying for their own rules, so this was impossible to work with them, but still Qaid-e-Azam was hopeful that they could work together with Hindus. So at this point, the major differences appeared between the Hindus and the Muslim leaders, because the causes were same, but the ruling and the nature of the Hindus, which was very cunning, was appearing day by day in front of Muslims. They were not allowing Muslims to be a part of the government, and they still were in need of their own government, and they were just trying to find a way in which they could get their own government only without any Muslim rule, without any involvement of any Muslim. So this was the selfishness of Congress and the Hindus of this party, that the leader didn't want to share the rule with the Muslims also. So that is how it was impossible for Muslims to work with them in future. So differences again started their paved a way. The differences paved a way in which the Muslims started thinking about their own country. So boys and girls, that is, this discussion is all for today. Let's start with some written work for today. There is a single question for today. Why do you think were the Montego Chelmsford reforms not very popular? The reasons for that is the Montego Chelmsford reforms were not popular because they excluded Muslims. Number 1. Sikhs were overrepresented. Number 3. Congress rejected these reforms as they didn't want to work with Muslims. This was the main cause due to which Muslims were forced to think about their own independence efforts and for their own country. So that is all for today, boys and girls. See you soon, inshallah. Do your work and submit it timely in the Google Classroom. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.